I'm not a particularly spiritual man. Once on a tranquil drive toward home from the sun scorched expanses of Arizona to an almost claustrophobic Los Angeles, I drifted tiredly along forgotten back roads, those quiet arteries of an older America now left to dream in the shadows of progress. I was taking my sweet time, coming home, spending nights wherever the sunset caught me, mostly under the open sky, in quiet and contemplative admiration of our vast universe. There, amid sleepy towns that modern haste abruptly and cruelly abandoned, I suddenly glimpsed a scene of simple but exquisite serenity. St. Raymond's Church in Amboy, California is a modest but evocative mid 20th century cinder block structure that stands as a quiet testament to the faith, optimism, and eventual decline of a small desert community along historic Route 66. The simple rectangular building, designed to seat about 100 people, features a prominent steeple, restored in 2016 after collapsing around 2013 due to weather exposure. It includes a rectory nearby, a rock garden with a Madonna statue in its active years, and interior elements like a mural of Saint Raymond painted by an unknown artist, reportedly a former soldier who trained in the area with General George Patton's desert warfare units. Its location in the stark Mojave Desert, near Amboy Crater and Roy's Motel and Cafe, gives it a haunting, windswept presence, perfect for photography and video, especially with the dramatic desert light, tumbleweeds, and surrounding emptiness highlighting its isolation. The parish began in 1950 as St. Bridget's, founded by the Diocese of San Diego. The first priest, Reverend Patrick Malone, leased an old house in town for use as both rectory and temporary chapel, holding daily masses and Sunday services at 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Roy Kroll, the prominent local businessman who owned much of Amboy, donated the land. Financial support came from the Catholic Extension Society in Chicago. Construction used cinder block. Reverend Joseph Stadler oversaw early work, and Reverend Leo Hanley completed it despite financial hardships. Hanley, who came from Chicago, was initially discouraged but stayed committed after seeing the needs of local children. I saw those children and their great need. I did not want to renege and let them down. He even returned to Chicago annually for fundraising. The church was dedicated on March 8, 1951, by Bishop Charles Buddy, who also confirmed the first group of young people. It was renamed St. Raymond's that year, or shortly after. Over its active life, it served as a spiritual hub and oversaw St. Michael's mission in nearby Ludlow. About 12 priests served the parish in total. The church faced chronic financial struggles. Amboy's population never exceeded much more than 100, and economic pressures mounted. It closed on August 3rd, 1970, due to the dwindling local population. The property was returned to the Kroll family in 1981. The final blow to the town came in 1973 when Interstate 40 bypassed Amboy, diverting traffic and causing a steep economic decline, turning the once bustling Route 66 stop into a near ghost town. In 2005, Albert Okura, founder of the Juan Pollo restaurant chain and preserver of Route 66 landmarks, purchased the entire town of Amboy, including the church. He aimed to restore it to its mid century glory. The steeple was restored in 2016. Okura passed away in 2023, but his family, notably son Kyle, continues preservation efforts. The church is not generally open to the public, but is sometimes unlocked for visitors, as noted in recent accounts. It has a historical marker placed by the E. Clampus Vitas Society in 2022. Nature's beauty and desert solitude rarely present themselves in speed and convenience, and this time they gifted me with a lone desert sanctuary caught in a moment of profound stillness that felt both sacred and also achingly human. But I'm not a particularly spiritual man. Fortunately, yet ironically, also unfortunately, I was raised in a highly religious home with strict rules and church attendance every Friday and twice on Sundays, never missing a service. I suppose my strict upbringing brought out the rebel in me once I became old enough to stand up for myself and against rules that seemed to hypocritically be applied only to me. No, I'm not particularly spiritual, but a lone, broken down church in the middle of the desert will always tug at my heart. The scene before my eyes pulled me in like a slow, deliberate breath happening in slow motion while glancing to my left at what, in the moment, I thought was just an old, run-down building. My mental fog quickly evaporated. I saw the image clearly in my mind and I hit the brakes. It's not a great photo that would rank among the greats by any means. It's got its technical flaws. It could also benefit from more depth. I could have maybe waited a little longer for even more dramatic light, and I wish there were just a few more clouds to add more drama, but despite the flaws, it stands as one of my favorite images from my portfolio. And I've been taking photos since I was a rebellious little pioneer of 12 years old. I saw the white chapel anchoring the composition with its modest, almost defiant presence. I saw the attached buildings with their broken windows stretch horizontally to the right, a faded memory, the ghosts of a long gone community that once called this hot, dry place their home. I saw the vast, cracked earth in the foreground as a textured stage, drawing my eye upward through the structures and into the infinite beyond. I saw humanity's footprints fighting to remain relevant against nature's overwhelmingly devastating canvas. And finally, I saw the intimate harmony in how the elements dialogued with one another. The symphony of light at golden hour as the desert light turned magical. That late afternoon warmth that turned the desert dirt from earthly tan to burnished copper, to an eventual fire that bathed the buildings in a soft burning glow. Long shadows stretched across the ground like gentle fingers, adding depth and a touch of melancholy without the harshness. The kind of light that made the ordinary feel extraordinary, perhaps eternal, as if the sun itself paused to honor this forgotten corner of my tiny world. But I am definitely not a spiritual man. In the image, you can almost feel the day's heat lingering in the air without the promise of relief in the coming darkness. Hope and transience intertwined, but never guaranteed. I saw the clouds in visual harmony with the mountains, lining up with the peaks, and understood them as the emotional crescendo of the image. They didn't just float, they built like musical notes ascending in volume and intensity. Soft, scattered wisps in the foreground, sky gradually gathering mass and drama as they echoed the gradual rise of the distant peaks. The eye travels from the intimate chapel across the desert floor through the clouds and finally rests on those mountains, feeling both protective and indifferent. In that moment, the effect was breathtakingly uplifting in its modesty, a reminder that even in desolation, there's a natural orchestration pulling everything toward grandeur. And then there's the poignant similarity between the cross and the electrical poles, that subtle, heart tugging visual rhyme that hits with a quiet revelation. Such a simple cross, crowning the chapel tower, mirroring the stark T shape of the utility poles, their arms outstretched in parallel. More than anything in the scene, it was this that captivated me. In the cross, we find faith incarnate, a beacon of the divine in the vastness of the desert. In those electrical poles, we find humanity's lifelines, carrying electrical salvation across the barren expanse. Life and hope delivered by both. It's a beautiful, almost ironic symmetry. But I'm not a spiritual man. Spirituality and technology standing side by side like old friends in this isolated place, both offering power in their own way. The cross feels protective, the poles utilitarian. Yet, together in that moment, they suggested resilience, connection, and the way human ingenuity and belief have always tried to bridge the emptiness. It tugged at the heartstrings because it whispered of endurance, faith persisting where power lines ended, or perhaps the sacred, quietly woven into the everyday machinery of survival. Yet the abandoned chapel stood solid, as if waiting for someone to return, for anyone to return. But I am not a particularly spiritual man. There's a subtle narrative here of a small, perhaps abandoned settlement clinging to its chapel like a heartbeat in the desert's vast silence. Overall, this image stirred in me a deep contemplative ache, the kind that makes you feel both tiny and yet profoundly seen. It's a love letter to the American West's stark beauty, the melancholy of what's left behind, the hope embedded in a simple cross, and the majestic indifference of mountains standing witness to it all. My heart swelled at the precise convergence of light, form, and symbolism, a fleeting moment where the sacred, the mundane, and the eternal aligned, in my humble opinion, perfectly. It left me with a quiet reverence and a sense that even the emptiest landscapes hold stories worth pausing for. But I remain still not a particularly spiritual man.